Our first tipping point tonight, the House Intelligence Committee memo has been released. The president signed off on the declassification just this morning, and the 4-page memo is now right here in front of me in our hands. Now, I have spent the past week trying not to overplay the reports on this memo before we actually have it in front of us, but now that we do, I can tell you this is as huge as you can possibly imagine. A weaponized, politicized Department of Justice that targeted Donald Trump's campaign officials to try to take Trump down, using false information and lies to justify their snooping and leaks to the media. Here are 5 things that you need to know about this memo. According to this memo, number 1, the Christopher Steele dossier was used as justification for the FISA court warrant to spy on Trump campaign official Carter Page. Not once, but 4 separate times. Number 2, the FBI didn't even verify the contents of the dossier before they used it as a reason to spy on Page. Number 3, former Deputy FBI Director Andrew McCabe testified, according to the memo, that without the information in this dossier, the Department of Justice wouldn't have even sought these warrants. Number 4, FBI Director James Comey signed off on 3 of these warrants himself. And number 5, the FISA court judge was not told during this process that the Christopher Steele dossier was paid for by Hillary Clinton and the DNC, or the fact that Christopher Steele was, and I quote, passionate about Donald Trump not being president. In other words, corrupt officials at the Department of Justice lied about their reason for snooping on Trump's campaign, all in an effort to try to take Trump down. Remember a long time ago, early last year, when Donald Trump tweeted about being wiretapped? The mainstream media went wild, ridiculing and mocking him and calling him a liar. Well, he who laughs best laughs last. This was President Trump's response today.
I think it's terrible. You want to know the truth? I think it's a disgrace. What's going on in this country, I think it's a disgrace. The memo was sent to Congress. It was declassified. Congress will do whatever they're going to do. But I think it's a disgrace what's happening in our country. And when you look at that and you see that and so many other things, what's going on, a lot of people should be ashamed of themselves, and much worse than that. So I sent it over to Congress. They will do what they're going to do. Whatever they do is fine. It was declassified. And let's see what happens. But a lot of people should be ashamed. Thank you very much.
Joining me now from the Center for Security Policy, he's also a former staffer on the House Intelligence Committee, Fred Fleitz. Fred, good to see you.
Hey, Liz, good to be here.
All right, Fred, this memo day so far has not been disappointing. We've learned a lot of information, more information, frankly, than I thought we were going to learn from this memo. I frankly thought it was a little bit overhyped leading up to this. It is not. Fred, what do you consider to be the biggest bombshell in this?
Well, McCabe testified that there wouldn't have been a FISA warrant to spy on a Trump aide without the Steele dossier. Now, the Democrats are trying to say that's not true, but the testimony's in the record. This either is or isn't true. I think this is certainly true, and it's very damning. We also know that multiple Justice Department and FBI officials knew all the things about this memo that they didn't want to tell the court, that the Clinton campaign, the Democratic National Committee helped pay for it, that the Russians were involved, that the FBI was paying Steele, and then, as you mentioned, Steele's extreme bias. This was all kept from the FISA court judges on multiple occasions to get the warrant and to renew it. This isn't a close call in terms of serious misuse of U.S. government intelligence and spying capabilities. I think these are very serious violations.
Oh, I mean, these are incredible abuses. The fact that our government would target a private citizen based off of political bias when they knew about the political bias, that should horrify us all. I hate to invoke 1984 references because I think it's overused, but this is something that could have come straight out of that book. The government using ridiculous lies because they want to believe the lies in order to spy, in order to help the opposing candidate win. Absolutely shocking here. Talk to me about the legality, though. When we're talking about this process of submitting an application to a FISA court judge to justify a warrant, to obtain a warrant to spy on an American citizen, which otherwise would be against the law, this is the part that really got me. So this FISA court judge was not told that Christopher Steele had this bias. He was not told, this FISA court judge was not told that Christopher Steele was paid by Hillary Clinton. Is that omission a crime? Is that lie a crime?
You know, I don't know that it's a crime. It certainly is unethical that the judge was not told the whole story about the central piece of data that was used to get the warrant. And I got to tell you, the standard to spy against an American citizen is very high, but to conduct surveillance against someone involved in a presidential campaign, I think the standard should be extremely high. And I imagine the judge or judges involved in this, they must be pretty angry right now that they were misled.
I mean, I would be absolutely seething at this. As a private American citizen who wasn't even involved in this process, I'm sitting here, it's in disbelief as I've read this memo so many different times today. But talk to me about the standards here. The FBI, the behavior from the FBI here is equally as shocking. So they used this memo, they used this dossier, this dossier as justification to obtain this warrant. The deputy FBI director testified, according to this memo, that without the information in this dossier, they wouldn't have even tried to get this warrant. At the same time, the FBI did not even try to independently verify the claims in this dossier. What kind of standards is that?
Well, I think it goes to the whole question of pretty massive political bias against candidate Trump. Now, people who are defending the dossier and the Democrats on the House Intelligence Committee are trying to say, well, all right, something happened in 2016, but the Russia investigation began months earlier. No. This shows a strong pattern of political bias among Justice Department and FBI officials. We factor in the leaks of the intelligence collection against Michael Flynn. I think we have a massive scandal here. This is just the tip of the iceberg.
Well, I certainly hope this is just the beginning, because while there are names named in this dossier, we need to know more names. The reaction from fired FBI Director James Comey on Twitter, he said, "That's it? This is all we've got here? That's it?" Those words reverberated in my head, because if someone is downplaying this type of abuse, I mean, the FBI and the Department of Justice actively tried to keep the information that's contained in this memo. They tried to keep it away from the House Intelligence Committee as the House Intelligence Committee sought to exercise their right to oversight of these intelligence agencies. The reaction from Comey is very telling, is it not, Fred?
Yeah, I want to know, did Comey know that the Democratic National Committee and the Clinton campaign paid for the Steele dossier, and did he keep that from the FISA court? I'd like to know that right now.
I'd like to know exactly who lied, who put this together, and who knew what when we're talking about the separate applications. These are multiple applications we're talking about, not just the original one, but all of the renewals. And you have to have new standards. Each one requires separate findings of probable cause, according to the memo, and all of them cite this dossier. We need to have this, like you said, this is just the tip of the iceberg. It opens even more questions than we have answers for. Fred, thanks for coming on the show. I appreciate it.